Letterman is trying to put out the firestorm over his jokes about Sarah Palin's teenage daughter getting knocked up by Yankee Alex Rodriguez. On his show last night, the comedian chalked it all up to a misunderstanding, saying he meant to refer to Governor Palin's 18-year-old daughter, Bristol, not to her 14-year-old daughter, Willow.
But still, I'm wondering, well, what can I do to help people understand that I would never make a joke like this? I've never made jokes like this as long as we've been on the air, 30 long years, and you can't really be doing jokes like that. And I understand, of course, why people are upset. I would be upset myself. Now I'm beginning to understand what the problem is here. It's the perception rather than the intent. It doesn't make any difference what my intent was. It's the perception. And as they say about jokes, that if you have to explain the joke, it's not a very good joke. My responsibility, I take full blame for that. I told a bad joke. I told a joke that was beyond flawed, and my intent is completely meaningless compared to the perception. And since it was a joke I told, I feel that I need to do the right thing here and apologize for having told that joke. It's not your fault that it was misunderstood. It's my fault that it was misunderstood. Thank you. I would like to apologize, especially to the two daughters involved, Bristol and Willow, and also to the governor and her family, and everybody else who was outraged by the joke. I'm sorry about it, and I'll try to do better in the future. Thank you very much.
So, was it enough? Andrea Tantaros is a FoxNews.com contributor and a Republican strategist. She's my guest now. Hi, Andrea.
Hi, Megan.
Well, he went on and on. 4 minutes.
And on, and on, and on.
Did he get it done?
Well, it took him 2 times to get it right, because the first one really wasn't sincere. And this one, you know, my mom always says, and I'm sorry with a but attached, negates the apology. He had to do a lot of explaining. It should have just been a flat out, it was offensive, I'm sorry. And he didn't apologize for the slutty flight attendant joke, which was also very distasteful. And you know, this is not funny, and until we stop these comedians, these brands like Playboy for their top 10 conservative hate list, until we stop the Miss USA organization, until we stop late-night TV, mainstream brands from this misogyny against women, which seems to be making a comeback, our country is really going to come apart at the seams, because it's just inappropriate.
Is it general misogyny, Andrea, or really is it misogyny targeted at conservative women that we're seeing more and more?
Well, you know what's funny is the left always seemed to own the domestic violence or the violence against women issue. They said, this is our issue, we passed the bill through Congress. Now it just seems acceptable that conservative women have a big bullseye on us and they can go after us. I mean, they go after me all the time, they go after you, they bill you as conservative. And it's just wrong. And where are the women's groups now, being, you know, national organizations of women, to come out and speak out? It's just an outrage.
Well, now sort of gave a half-hearted, oh, this was not good of Letterman in response to this.
Right.
But they refused to come out. And Greta Van Susteren asked for them to go on her show. They refused. They were not so vocal about it.
That's right. They weren't vocal with Carrie Prejean either.
Do you think it would have been different had the target been somebody like a Hillary Clinton?
Right, absolutely. There's always a double standard when it comes to liberal versus conservative women. But at the end of the day, Megan, this isn't a political issue. This is a women's issue. It's a human decency issue when you're insulting young girls, underage girls, women, and you're just in a pitiful, distasteful way. And that's exactly what David Letterman did.
Well, and speaking of that, I mean, the text of his apology is essentially, I meant to refer to the older daughter, not the younger daughter.
Right.
And I looked at it and I was researching, and I didn't even know that the 14-year-old was with her at the Yankee game. I thought it was the 18-year-old.
Yeah.
Does that excuse it? Is it okay to make fun of the 18-year-old daughter allegedly getting, quote, knocked up by Alex Rodriguez at a Yankee game?
No, it could have been the Palin grandmother, Megan. I mean, it's still just inappropriate. I mean, look, these joke writers write 100 jokes per writer per evening for David Letterman. He clearly thought it was funny. He wouldn't have said it unless he thought it would have killed. And the only reason he gave his second apology is because people started pulling their sponsorship, which means the bottom line was money for them. I mean, you look at every instance, Megan. Donald Trump, did he actually chastise Perez Hilton? No, he invited the guy back to be a judge next year.
Yeah, I've always thought that the problem with that Miss USA competition, Perez Hilton, you know what you're getting. The problem is putting him in the role in the first place.
Exactly.
Who chose him and put him on as a judge?
And then inviting him back.
But let me ask you this, too, because the media coverage of this Letterman dust-up has been, you know, maybe what you'd expect, maybe what you wouldn't. Right. I saw the most amazing reversal by Joy Behar of The View, who last week came out and ripped on the Palin family, on all the women in the Palin family, saying, oh, they paraded the daughter out there as some sort sort of a spokesperson, and then she refers to herself yesterday. Take a look at the split between what she said.
Trapes the kid out as she's a walking punchline, and then preach abstinence, and then she gets knocked up. That's the joke.
No, I have to say that I'm on her side this time. Not because I didn't think it was sort of okay because comedians make jokes, but as a parent, as a mother, she's no dummy. She's going for the jugular, and I would too. I would too, as a mother.
And then she says, I identify with her rage against anybody who would say a sexually implying joke about her daughter. Where was the rage last week when she said the kid's a joke and they traipse her around out there and she deserves it, essentially?
Joy Behar, a champion, a selective champion of women's rights. Let's not forget how outraged Joy Behar was when it came to Hillary Clinton. Every day on The View, you saw her lambast the media for the treatment. And now, because it was a conservative, Joy Behar can just say whatever she wants. But you know the bottom line. I mean, you're in television, Megan. It's ratings. I'm sure The View got tons of emails. Companies probably threatened to, to pull their sponsorship because let's be real. There's more women and mothers out there that see that this is pitiful and distasteful and wrong and shouldn't be tolerated. And that's what forced Joy Behar's response.
All right, gotta go. But last word. Should Letterman be fired? Should anything be? I mean, he's a comedian, right? Like, really, doesn't this put an end to it, or does it not?
Well, I don't think he should be fired. But listen, here's the bottom line. There is the First Amendment and there is free speech.
Right.
But as consumers, as citizens, we don't have to buy this stuff. Pun intended. We don't have to watch their shows. We don't have to watch the Miss USA pageant. We don't have to buy Playboy. We don't have to support these shows or like The View or any of them if we don't want to. But these protests in New York today, they should still happen because the issue is much bigger than that, and it's a growing trend against conservative women.
All right. Andrea Tantaros, always a pleasure.
Thank you, Megan.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
While you guys are talking, FoxNews.com apparently got a statement from Sarah Palin. She says she accepts the apology and says, of course, it's accepted on behalf of young women like my daughters who help men who joke about public displays of sexual exploitation of girls will soon evolve. That is part of the statement. It's available at our website right now, foxnews.com. So that's just crossing our wire right now.